Let's bring in John Roberts now. He's on the scene, getting set to host America Reports, but helping us out this morning. He knows the area, knows the routine, knows aviation. So John, there are some reports that even overnight they were pulling out some bodies. Have you been able to confirm anything like that?
We have not heard reports from police where I am yet. I mean, that's probably what the situation is. The emergency services launch into action so quickly when something like this happens. Remember, a little more than a week ago, there was a car accident on the Arlington Memorial Bridge. A pickup truck went off the bridge and into the Potomac River, and divers were on the scene within a number of minutes. So when something like this happens, they're always prepared for the worst and to respond to it. There are so many police agencies around here. The Coast Guard is just a little bit up the way. We see the Coast Guard helicopters flying here all the time. So they are well equipped to respond to an emergency like this. But it's still such a shock to the system here in Washington, D.C., that something like this happens. It was back in 1982, the last time that a plane went down in the Potomac River. You'll remember the Air Florida flight. And so much going on today in D.C. as well, with confirmation hearings for the FBI director nominee, Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard as well for ODNI. Those hearings, as we understand, are going to go ahead today because, as Tom Cotton was saying, as Sean Duffy was saying, it really drives home the importance of the president having his national security team and all of his support staff and advisors in place. Because when you've got to respond to something like this, you want to make sure that you've got your team in place.
Sure.
Now, as for how this happened, you heard Lucas Tomlinson talking about it a little bit earlier. These planes come in and out of Reagan all day. They do share airspace, a very crowded airspace, with a lot of official helicopters as well, whether they be Army. Park Police helicopter came over us just a little while ago. Again, the Coast Guard is flying here. We always see the President's Marine One helicopters training out of Joint Base Balling. It is very, very crowded airspace. Clearly, there's no civilian aircraft that are flying in the area because of severe flight restrictions. But you do get a lot of official aircraft and commercial aircraft coming in and out of here. And every time you fly in, because particularly if you come from the north with that meandering river route for security and noise abatement reasons, you wonder, is something going to go wrong? Could something go wrong here? Because it is a very tenuous approach. From the south, it's a lot easier. But no, I mean, whoever would have thought that there would be a collision between two aircraft, because it's just so tightly regulated here, Brian, that something like this, I've never known anything like this to happen in this area. So for it to happen here is really a shock to the system.
Rare. So John, who takes the lead here? Okay, so obviously you got a commercial aircraft, so you got the FAA involved with that, but you also have a military aircraft with that Black Hawk helicopter, so that's DOD. Who's going to lead this investigation in this case?
Well, typically in any kind of incident involving an aircraft, it's the National Transportation Safety Board that takes the lead. But the fact that there is a military aircraft that's involved here probably would involve the Pentagon as well. We'll probably hear from the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, at some point today about how this investigation is going to proceed. But right now, search and rescue is the order of the day. And you have got literally every agency out here that's got assets in the water, in the air as well, trying to see if there could possibly be some survivors. But as Lucas was saying, the water here, while the ice went out just in the last couple of days because of warmer temperatures, the water is still very, very cold. Right. So for anybody to be in there for longer than a few minutes probably has a very low chance of survival.
Indeed. John, stand by. We are just now getting a statement from the federal government. This is from Ron McClendon, Deputy Director over at the Pentagon. And the quote goes like this: while performing a training mission, a United States Army UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter from Bravo Company, 12th Aviation Battalion, Davidson Army Airfield, Fort Belvoir, collided in midair with an American Airlines Bombardier CRJ 700 regional jet flight 5342 last night at Ronald Reagan Washington Airport. The FAA, NTSB, and the U.S. Army will investigate. The NTSB will lead the investigation. That answers your question right there, Lawrence. We are working with local officials and will provide any additional information once it becomes available. John, as somebody who has been on that river a lot, we're looking at some of the small boats that are patrolling the area looking for stuff. And right in the middle, it looks like debris. We see a couple of different patches of stuff that looks like it could actually be part of the plane or part of the chopper. How deep is the water there?
Well, here's what I can tell you. That there's a big sort of alluvial fan area that comes off of the eastern side of the airport. And the water there is anywhere between 3 and 12 feet deep. There's a ship channel on the far eastern side that's 31 feet deep. But it's very, very shallow water in there, and it's very muddy as well. And as we saw when Value Jet went down in the Florida Everglades, most of the plane went into the mud in the Everglades, and it was very, very difficult to find any piece of the aircraft. Anything that came down hard, and this plane was 300 or 400 feet in the air, so it would have come down hard, may have gone actually through the shallow water and into the mud and is stuck there. So I can't say whether that's debris from the aircraft. There's a lot of stuff that floats down this river, particularly as the ice breaks up. You know, there are logs and leaves and other detritus that are floating by all the time. But this does look like something that's more of a structural aspect to it. And could that be a part of the plane? Could that be a part of the helicopter? Can't tell from this far out, but it's likely that there's obviously going to be a lot of debris in the water, particularly with the water being shallow. I wouldn't be surprised if the plane is just below the surface.
Yeah, John, when it comes to the recovery efforts, last night when I was going to bed, I wanted to know how many survivors are there? And I had that same question this morning. We really don't have any answers. At 7:30, we're going to find out more with this press conference. But what is that water like? Because if this were the ocean, you have the currents that you have to worry about. As far as recovery efforts are concerned and trying to find passengers in the water, I know it's really cold. It's 35 degrees, that water. What are the currents like? Are they having to deal with that? Would it be easier to find bodies in this water?
Well, it's very murky water. This time of year, it tends to be a little bit clearer because there's not as much organic material in the water as there is during the summer where the algae really gets going. So the water is probably a little bit clearer than it is in the summertime, but it's still very murky, particularly in this area where there's so much mud in the bottom of it. And in terms of the current really varies here on the Potomac River. Sometimes you get a half-decent flow with the water coming down from the upper part of Maryland. But don't forget, it's a tidal area as well, because the tides start to come up the Chesapeake. It slows down the flow, at least on the surface. So sometimes you get a pretty good flow down to the south into the Chesapeake, and then other times there's hardly a flow at all. I remember being out on my boat a couple of summers ago. We were up the Potomac just north of Georgetown University, and we were basically just sitting there in the middle of a river without having to throw out an anchor because of the way that the flow was coming back up in the river. It counted the flow coming down from the north, and nothing was moving at all. So, you know, there hasn't been a lot of current here. It has cleared out the ice some, and we'll see things floating by, but the current is very slow. So anything that's in the river probably would be moving very slowly.
All right, John Roberts, we appreciate it.